What's going on, everybody? Doc, your average gamer guys, back again. Last day on Earth action, and we're talking about Hunter's Instinct event. Now, this event has recently gone through some changes, and I figured we would jump in. I also have been asked for this quite a bit, is to talk about the cheapest and easiest ways to farm up this event if you wanted to jump into it. I'm going to say this up front. It is still not as free-to-play friendly as you would hope it would be. The other component of this is the fact that you really, truly, if you want to make good progress into this event and get some of the upper tier rewards, you are going to need your boat. Okay, you're going to need your boat, and you're going to need your access to the manual earth drill. That's a really big component of this, and one of the ways that I still think this event needs to be tweaked. If we went back to pickaxes for the abrasive, I think would help a lot. And I actually think it would reduce the need to have your boat. But the farther you are in the game, the more progress you're going to be able to make, and that's just the way that it is. So I want to talk today about, I'm going to do a two-part series because we've been able to get through the first 3 stages of this. So I'm going to break it up and talk about what you can get. First and foremost, what I want to showcase here very quickly is the fact, if you really want to make best out of this event, your goal should be trying to get to level 30. Level 30 in this revamped event gets you basically the full sides of both trophy markets. Now, the things that most folks are going to want to be able to get is the inspector card. You're going to want to get your extremely rare blueprint. I do think, though, if you can make some progress into the event, if you can get to level 20, for instance, which is not too terrible to do, by the way, you can pick up some pretty decent rewards here in this trophy market and potentially in this one, right? Picking up some puppies, maybe some genomes, some gas, some springs for those that need it. Even grabbing some copper can be pretty good if you just want to find ways to spend some of your resources. And honestly, getting to this point, getting to level 20 is not that bad. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Again, if you want to grab like a flight controller, if you're working on some drone stuff, or you want to grab some gas cylinders, maybe you're working on your ATV, or honestly, for free-to-play players, this is a pretty good opportunity to grab a tactical backpack, in my opinion, or even plus up some of your genomes and an equalizer. Like, a couple of these rewards, genuinely, I do think are worth a little bit of time for the event. Is it worth grinding it every day and putting all the effort in? You can make that decision, but I do think there's some decent stuff. Even grabbing a good St. Bernard puppy is pretty good. At level 2, you'll take it, right? This helps to reduce quite a bit. And a lot of this stuff should be relatively accessible. Okay, let's talk about the event. Let's talk about some changes. I'm going to go deep dive and just chit chat here. Stage 1 is the deer. Pretty easy to do. You're going to need a very limited amount of materials in this first 3 stages. For stage 1, all you need is 6 abrasive, which you're going to get, and you're going to make the spear. Now, this goes with saying, I want to say this very clearly. I have had success every single day. There was a few issues at the start of this event with the fishing and a couple of quests and some things that they had to debug a little bit. So I'm talking about this from the perspective of everything working as it is intended. But essentially, I've been able to get 12 abrasive a day by doing all of the farming with the manual earth drill, and I've been able to do all of the 4 catches of the fish every day without spending anything. I'm not spending any rations. I'm not spending any burley. I'm not resetting anything. So 12 abrasive a day is essentially 2 weapons per day that you're able to get. For stage 1, all you need is the spear and 6 abrasive. Now, I have fully modded weapons, so I do want to make that comment, but hopefully by the time you're jumping into this, you'll have at least a few mods. One of the other things that I want to note is if you put abrasive on a weapon that can take mods and you don't have mods on it, you can take that back to your weapon bench at your home base, and you can install those additional mods. Now, be careful not to auto it because it will remove the special sharpening, whatever it is, mod that is on it. But if you place those mods on the weapon in each slot, you are still able to modify it. So that is something helpful for those. If you just accidentally like did the spear and you're like, oh shoot, I have the mods, you can jump in, head back to your base, throw your mods on, and you can keep the abrasive mod as well. So that is an important one. But stage 1 is a spear and your abrasive. That's it, that you're going to be able to get. And if you just essentially go stealth mode and kill everything here, all of the animals, you're going to need to kill 10 deer in total. If you kill all 10 with stealth mode, you'll have about 80% or so of that first spear left. And it completes this. Now, I should also note, when you go to take down the noble deer or any of the boss versions of these, you don't have to use your abrasive weapons. You can use normal weapons. That's actually going to save you a ton of durability on your abrasive weapons. So stage 1 is a spear, 6 abrasive, and you can knock out every single one of these tasks as you see here. Now, you are going to have to craft that hunting spear as part of this to get this done. I should backtrack just a little bit in case you don't know how this event works. Essentially, you're going to do all of these specific events here, or these tasks here. That's going to then open you up the ability to take on the boss, and then you have to work one stage at a time to get down through them. Now, you can level up and unlock multiple tasks at once and be doing things like the boar or the fox or the white wolf all at the same time, which is very helpful. But in order to go ahead and kind of complete this, and in order to fight the bosses per stage, you have to complete the previous stage's boss. So do keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab all of our fangs here. You'll get 300. I haven't grabbed anything from the reward track yet. You're going to grab 300 from this first stage. We'll jump over to the white wolf. The white wolf is essentially, or the wolf stage is essentially the same as stage 1. For this, you're going to need to modify a hunting bow. This is just a regular bow. So you'll take a regular bow, you'll throw your 6 abrasive in, you'll craft it. That's all you need. I did use a little bit of a spear, maybe about 50% or so, because you do need to kill wolves with a melee weapon. Now, you're going to want to do this on the wolves that have 40 health. If you have a little bit of mods on this, you're going to be able to pretty easily go in, stealth mode these guys with one hit, and take them out. Infected wolf will probably be where a lot of this gets hung up for many players. This was over at Limestone Spires for me. I had to run back and forth a handful of times, and I was able to get this to spawn. I did use the spear for this fight as well, and was able to knock this out. So your full bow, your full bow, your 6 abrasive to be able to mod that up, and then about 50% of your spear will get this entire level done, and that is pretty nice. Now, granted, you're also going to be getting some additional points and some stuff. We'll talk about points for progression to level this up, but in order to unlock stage 2 this time, as of the midpoint of 2025 event revamp for this, it takes you to level 5 of the reward track, which is 620, I'll call them experience points. But you need 620 points to get to level 5 in the track. We'll talk about that here with the samples container. That's it. That's it to get that done. So stage 1 and stage 2 are pretty easy. Again, keep in mind when you go to head to fight the white wolf, just bring regular weapons. You'll be able to kill them. Actually, during this stage, Gerald rolls with you. He can actually kill basically every animal that you're going to go and fight up to this point, which is some free samples for you. So let him do the fighting, and then you will have to help him take down the boss, and you can knock this out. Let's jump over to Charcoal Fox. That's stage 3. That's where we're going to finish up today. This requires you to get to level 10 in the reward track, which is 2,380 points. It seems like a lot. It's actually not that much. You are going to go ahead and you're going to need to use a cleaver with your bench. So you're going to need a cleaver. You're going to need your 6 abrasive. You are also going to need the supplies and materials to make 3 traps. Now, you probably want to make a few more of these just in case you step on them. They're not that expensive, but we'll talk about these here once we wrap this up. And that's it. The nice part, and one of the big balances that happened with this version of Hunter's Instinct prior to the previous one, is you're getting a lot more foxtails per fox. I think I averaged 4, which was pretty good. So putting the samples in there was not that hard. It's actually helping to reduce the total amount of abrasive weapons you need, which is also pretty valuable, and that's pretty nice. So for this, I used about 25% of the cleaver, and that was it. Now, granted, you have to use, and I should have said this leading into this, you're going to need to use other weapons. So bring your machetes, bring your other cleavers, bring whatever weapons that you have available for you to kill zombies in these areas normally, right? So this is mostly going to be in your limestone and your forest locations, and then you're going to head up to your oak location to take down your charcoal fox. So come properly equipped for that. I didn't count the amount of weapons I needed or anything like that. I'm just kind of specifically talking about supplies and materials that you'll need specific to completing this task chain, and also helping you to work towards getting your level ups. So, but the nice part about stage 3 is if you sneak attack with a modified cleaver, you're going to do really well. It takes 2 shots to kill a fox. You can do it pretty easily. And like I said, I only used about 25% of the cleaver. So by the end of stage 3, you should have some spear left. You may have a little bit of your bow left, depending on your modifications. And you should have the majority of your cleaver left. Those things can be really, really helpful for you to then go and farm up the rest of the hides, the materials, and the specific items that you need to be able to complete this. So that part is pretty cool. The poachers were bugged a little bit at the beginning of the event. That should all be fixed. The nice part is you only have to kill one of these. They did simplify a good portion of these tasks so far, which in my opinion is nice. They did make some improvements, and getting to some of these levels I do think is a little bit easier, but I'll be honest with you, there's still quite a bit of grind that you're going to need to be able to do as you jump into this. So the good part here is if you finish Charcoal Fox, which again only requires you to get to level 10, you are able to get 1,800 if you complete through this. What can you buy for 1,800? Well, you can come here, you grab some springs, you can grab a handful of these things, but that's probably not where you want to spend it. More so, you're going to be able to come in here, and to be honest with you, you could go ahead, you could grab yourself a tactical backpack, you could grab yourself a dragon up, that's not too bad. You could grab yourself an equalizer and a backpack. You could wait and save up just a little bit more, continue to progress. Now, granted, you have to get to level 20 for this, so I'm talking a little bit ahead of myself, but 100 more points, you're going to be able to get yourself a St. Bernard puppy. Again, you can get a handful of these things, so it's not bad. For that, when you consider a spear, a bow, a cleaver, a couple of earth drills, and some fishing rods, you could get some pretty decent stuff when you think about it, right? And that's not too bad. Plus a few additional materials, obviously, that we'll have to throw in here. So do consider that. Do consider that. This does refresh every 24 hours as well. I'm in the way of it. So you could come in and just get yourself a pretty good stockpile of charcoal, or maybe some raw turkeys if you want, or whatever the case. Or honestly, a good chunk of fuel. You can get a couple of fuel canisters out of this, which would be really helpful for a lot of folks. I will say, out of all of the resources that this took, plan your route. Be really smart with where you're going. It's going to take you quite a few wood locations or limestone locations to get enough enemies, whether they be deer, wolves. You can do a handful of these things at the same time. That's where I truly think you can save yourself quite a bit of value, quite a bit of time. If you can get to level 5 and get both the deer and the wolf stage unlocked at the same time, use your spear, use your bow, grind those two things up, craft them both before you start your grinding journey. That's going to help you immensely. And then, of course, you'll have to head up to the northern region area to be able to get all of that. I should also anecdotally note that for whatever reason, in order to mine the abrasive with your manual earth drill, I was using about 50% durability per 6 locations, or 4, how many ever you have to mine, in order to get the 6 abrasive. So I do think that's an improvement over last time. I want to say last time it was taking you a full one. Now you're getting about 2 days out of your manual earth drill. Fishing rods are going to be kind of dependent. Those aren't too bad to craft. So just keep that in mind. Now, in terms of going in here and getting your ecologist reputation up, keep in mind again that level 5 you need to get to the wolf. Level 10 you're getting to the fox stage. 2,380 points is what it's going to take you. I mentioned basically required, or really needing the boat. The reason you really need the boat is you need the ability, in my opinion, to get thick leather. This is going to be one of the best boosts for you. However, you can still make some pretty good progress. You are able to put 20 samples of each of these into to drop these in every single day. Now that would obviously require you to have 20 of each of these. The easiest things that you'll have access to, hopefully, are going to be leather, and your tan fur and your thick leather, again, if you're able to grind these up. You can then go and grind your wolf hair and your deer antlers. I'm going to be honest with you, as you progress through each of these stages, you will fill these up at least once with probably a little bit of leftover. You're killing 10 deer, you're killing quite a few wolves, you're killing, I think, about four foxes, I think, in total, but you're getting 4 foxtails per kill with, again, about 75% of a cleaver left. That gives you the opportunity, honestly, to farm these 3 pretty successfully. If you are able to fill up all of the I'll say specific, special items from the animals, if you're able to do your leather, your tan fur, and your thick leather, you are able to get 1,000 points a day. So it's 200 here, it's 320 here, and it's 480 points here. So 2 days worth and just a little bit more, 2 days plus finishing off these events, will get you all the way through to level 10. That's pretty nice. If you're able to then grind and knock this out a little bit more, you can find yourself pretty well up to level 20 pretty quickly. Obviously, if you want to spend some money, you can get some unusual samples. I don't recommend that. But if you want to go that route, you certainly can. So the key here is going to be consistency with dropping these in, coming in every day, 24 hours, getting your 6 or your 12 abrasive by doing your fishing, and then applying it. Now, the nice part is through the first 3 stages, you should have 3 additional weapons worth of abrasive if you are kind of following that same track. How would I spend my additional abrasive? I'm going to say 2. Machete is probably the best at this point. The ability to sneak attack, if you have some decent mods on that thing, are going to do an immense amount of damage. You're going to get a ton of durability out of that, which is super, super helpful. That can help you to take down even your alligator skins as well, which are a massive amount of points. These are a very frustrating animal to fight, but if you can get these bottom tier resources to add to your daily grind, you're going to make pretty good progress, right? Think about dropping 20 of these in plus 24. Again, that's 480 points per slot. If you fill this up completely, it's 3,000 points per day. You have about 18 days to complete this event. You can make a pretty good amount of total points. And level 30 is the top cap, which we'll talk about in the next video. But I do think that is achievable. I think it's sort of reasonable, but you certainly have to put the time in. And again, it's being able to get this stuff and be consistent with it. The Scorcher and the Spore Rifle are going to probably be the bigger headaches. The fact that we can't repair our weapons in the weapon repair bench, I think, is a major drag from this, because that was a way to kind of cycle through and not be as reliant on the abrasive. The good part, though, is, again, you can make some pretty good progress with just these, and they just take normal weapons that you're throwing the abrasive on. And again, keep in mind that if you do other cleavers or machetes, my 2 I mentioned, one would be the machete, the second would be the crossbow. The upgraded crossbow is quite good. Now you do lose out a little bit with this, but ranged attacks with this are really, really nice. This does a very solid amount of damage. But again, if you have good modifications for your machete, even a few that add a little bit of damage or a little bit of durability, you're going to find a ton of value of taking your extra abrasive per day and throwing it towards this. So do keep that in mind, and you should be able to craft up a couple of these, which will help you to make sure that you can hit your sample requirements very, very consistently. So that is all you need for the first 3 stages of the Hunter's Instinct event. And again, your first main goal should be getting up to level 10. After that, grind towards level 20 and open yourself up into these set of rewards. Now again, if that's not worth your time, or you don't think you want to do this, or you can't get the manual earth drill, there's a lot of limiting factors to this event that unfortunately make it a little bit tough. And that's where I wish that they would remove some of those barriers. If you just couldn't get to the crocodile skins because of the boat, I would be okay with that. But you are losing out on the bear claws as well, which I do think is a little tough. And consistency with this event is going to be the thing that helps you. You can do some moderately decent farming runs if you head out and you knock out, say for instance, we'll jump out here. If you just run out and spend a little bit of time maybe farming some wood, or maybe farming up some oak, you can go and do some pretty good farming runs by popping back and forth between your oak bushes location and the northern watchtower up here, right? Obviously, if you want to get your boars, you have to come up into your northern locations, but you know, you can, again, fox furs are going to give you a pretty decent amount, or fox tails, whatever, are going to give you a pretty decent amount of reputation. If you jump over here, honestly, my best recommendation, to be really frank, is if you have a floppy disk, hit a floppy disk here before you start your run. Head over to Bunker Alpha, run over, grab yourself your good weapons and all that good stuff if you have one available to you. And then honestly, you could bounce between these two locations. You're going to be able to get wolf hairs here, and a lot of wolf hairs and deer antlers here, and you're going to have this location set between you. That can save you a massive amount of energy and or gas if you're using your chopper. Other than that, you can bounce between these two wood locations. You can also bounce between Pine Grove and Gas Station. These will be both pretty good for you as well for some of the basic materials and items that you need. Probably the best farming location, in my opinion, though, if you want to try to make some good daily progress, is oak bushes. The fact that you can get foxtails and your wolf hairs here. In addition to all that, you can also be farming up your fur here, which you can then make into your tan fur, which is really, really good, right? So you essentially getting 3 of the very valuable resources that you need. So a little bit of grinding up here and a little bit of grinding like here can go a pretty long way for you getting quite a bit of materials you need to drop in every single day. Now, I should also note, the resonator trick still does work. I did not use it for any of this, but if you wanted to go and you wanted to farm your deer antlers, for instance, or even some of your wolf hair, you could run to your pine bush location, use a resonator that has all of its durability out. You're able to sneak attack with that and basically kill these enemies pretty easy, and or these animals pretty easy, and you could farm up a whole bunch of materials. That is certainly one of the cheapest and easiest ways to do it, as long as that still works. That may or may not get patched or buffed or fixed in the future, so whatever, not buffed, but fixed in the future, so do keep that in mind. But that's what we're sitting at. Oh, I wanted to also talk really quickly, and then we'll wrap it up here for this episode. Bear traps. Bear traps, not too hard. You just need a little bit of iron, some bolts, and some scrap metal. So hopefully you're at a point where you have all these materials and they're access to you. The one last thing I do want to note, if you are having trouble finding your infected wolf here at your limestone spires, again, you can bounce back and forth between these locations as well. That is another good kind of like farming run to reset this. You can also head up to the farm and potentially get infected wolves based on some of the spawns that are available here. So do keep that in mind. This is a good backup location if you're just having a lot of trouble finding an infected wolf. But the best location is going to be limestone spires here. It'll be an edge spawn, and it's pretty noticeable because it's really large on the map. So hopefully that's helpful to you. If you wanted to go ahead and, you know, do your farming runs at limestone spires, get yourself some iron, get yourself your deer antlers and your wolf hair, plus potentially find some okay stuff here. That is an option for you. I will also tell you that I think it was it Limestone Cliffs here? I was doing a lot of Limestone Cliffs, and quite a few times I found groups of 3 wolves that had killed a quote-unquote NPC and was finding pretty decent weapons on them as part of this event as well. So keep an eye out for that. I actually got a Winchester, a zip gun, and a cleaver, not modified of course, but I got those 3 things off of a couple of runs at Limestone Cliffs, so that was pretty nice. So if you're just kind of bouncing around doing some stuff, pair this up with again, some of your farming, and I think that's going to be the best for you. But we will go ahead, and in the next episode we're going to spend some time. I'm going to knock out all of these, but we'll talk about the black snouted boar, we'll talk about the brown bear, and then we will get up to level 30 and talk here about the alligators and how we can finish out it to level 30 and where that will take us as part of this. So hopefully you found part 1 helpful for you. If there's any other things that I missed, feel free to drop those down below. Again, this is not an endorsement for the event. This is hopefully to help you to think about if you want to go ahead and try to get a little bit of progression and maybe find a few additional rewards or value out of this. I do think that the first 3 stages are very, very manageable with just a little bit of grinding and a little bit of time. Again, assuming that you have a few of the resources and the ability to make a handful of those weapons, which hopefully at this point you are able to do. The last thing I'm going to comment on is if you're not playing this event, if you're like, screw this event, I hate it, I don't want anything to do with it. One thing I would strongly recommend, is at a minimum, go every day, take your fishing rod, catch your couple of fish. You're getting 6 abrasive from those fish. That's at least consistently what I've got from it, which is enough for a weapon, and craft a machete or a cleaver or a crossbow. Okay? And if you choose not to do the event and you're like, screw it, I'm not wasting it, craft them and hang on to them. Okay? There is very, very high likelihood that this event is going to come back around. If it gets another adjustment the next time, having a handful of those weapons are going to be really, really helpful for you. Let's say it comes around in 2 or 3 months from now, which is, again, pretty likely, I'm going to be honest with you. It seems like we're probably going to get into a rotation of like Forlorn Fair and this event, maybe trading off every other month or so, something like that. That additional weapons and abrasive will help you to really roll through and get some very, very fast, progress on this event going forward. Your machetes, your crossbows are going to be super, super helpful. If you want to go ahead and do any of the other specialty weapons, like your Scorcher or your Spore Rifle, you can do that as well. But if you don't have the boat unlocked, you're feeling a little down, going, okay, I really kind of need those materials, I can't get some of them, still jump in every day, grab some abrasive, craft up those weapons, and just store them. Hang on to them. Very high likelihood these events come back. And again, if it gets another reduction or an adjustment, or we're able to get a little bit more abrasive, or again, you unlock those locations, there might be some opportunity for you to go ahead and get some cool rewards from this and actually make some pretty good progress if you aren't able to this time around. So again, hopefully this was helpful. We'll be back with part 2 of this, talking about the last 3 stages and where we're able to get to and how many fangs you can get and what you can get opened up from there. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing. We're on the way to 10K. That's our next big channel milestone. We sincerely appreciate all the support. And yeah, lots more Last Stand Earth action coming to you this week as well. Stay tuned. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.